Hey, what's up? Today on Jay's Way, we're going to be building a local storage server, accessible from any device on the same network. We're going to be doing it with an old laptop. That was the first take. Just roll the intro. Let's head back inside. Alright, so first off, before we get into the tutorial side of things, I want to go ahead and show you what the final product of this project will look like. So let's do that. So here's the basic idea. We're going to have an old laptop running some new software that we're going to install on it, just running in the back corner closet of our house pretty much 24/7. Then, from our personal devices, laptop, phone, what have you, we're going to be able to enter some credentials, log into that server, and access that computer's hard drive, and then be able to transfer files to and from it. We're also able to have multiple directories on the server, as well as be able to choose who can access which folders. For the case of this example and the rest of the tutorial, we're going to have two folders, one called AdminStuff, one called UserStuff. The admin, or administrator, can access both folders with full permissions, while the user can only access the user folder, but not the admin folder. Now keep in mind, if you're using old hardware for this, which is what I'm going to be using, you definitely shouldn't put any important files on it or backups and stuff like that because, well, for one thing, it's going to be pretty slow because we're using old hardware, but for another thing, there's always the possibility of unreliability. So you may not want to put your life's work on this machine. But for just moving files around between devices, it should be perfect. And of course, you can follow the exact same steps in this tutorial on good hardware, and then you have a really stable server. Alright, first off, let's go over the things you're going to need for this project. Number one, an old laptop, obviously. I'm using a really old MacBook from 2006, but doesn't matter what software was originated, we're going to be installing brand new software, so any old system should work. It could even be a desktop. That works too. Next up, you're going to need some sort of DVD or CD drive with a decent amount of space, or a USB stick. USB stick for most cases is going to be way better. Whatever medium you use, you just have to make sure that your particular machine can boot from it. So most systems can boot from a USB drive, but in my case this particular laptop won't boot from a USB drive, so I'm having to use a CD or DVD drive. Next, you're going to need a separate computer, preferably one that isn't old but works quite well, so that you can install the software on the USB drive or CD. Alright, let's go ahead and hop on our main computer and go through the first steps of downloading the software. Alright, so before we download our actual software, we're going to find out which exact software we're going to need to download, because depending on your particular system, you might need to download either the 32-bit or i386 version of the software, or the more common 64-bit. Now, there are really easiest way to find out which one your system is. One, if your system is still working, just log in and go to the settings and you can find the information there. Or what's even easier is to just Google your model number and ask if it's 64-bit or not, and you should be able to find out pretty quickly. Alright, so now that you know whether your computer is 32-bit or 64-bit, we're going to go ahead and download our software. So head on over to ubuntu.com/download/server, or just click the link down in the description. And now, if your computer is a 64-bit system, then you're going to go ahead and just click this green download button here, and make sure it's the latest LTS, that stands for long-term support version of Ubuntu server, and let it download. If your system is 32-bit, we won't be able to use the latest software because Linux ended support for 32-bit systems a little while back, so we're going to have to do the closest thing we can to the latest version, but you won't see the difference once you actually start using it. If your software is 32-bit, you're going to want to go to old-releases.ubuntu.com/releases/16.04.1/. Or just click the link in the description. I mean, it's the same thing. Alright, once you're there, you're going to want to hit the fourth link down, or just make sure it says 32-bit PC server install image, and that's what we want. Alright, now once it's downloaded, you should be given an ISO file, and that's what we're going to be installing on our USB stick or DVD drive, whichever in your case. And the process of doing that will be a bit different depending on your operating system. I'm going to be showing you how to do it on a Mac just because it's what I have, but I'll leave a link in the description that explains step by step how you can do it on a Windows. Basically all you do is download a free bit of software, plug in the file, select your boot drive, and it will load the software on there. On a Mac, we don't have to download anything because the software is already there because Mac's a boss. Now, there are softwares you can download that do this for you, and feel free to go use whatever method you would like, but this is the method I use, and it's pretty simple, and you don't have to install any more software on your computer. You also get to use Terminal, which of course means you're totally hacking. Okay, so first you're just going to open up Terminal by opening up Spotlight, Command Space, and typing in Terminal, or just go down and click it, because I mean, come on, who doesn't have Terminal on their dock? By the way, before going on, you do need to go ahead and insert your drive into your computer. I'm instead called USB stick right now. It's the exact same process for a CD, so go ahead and insert your USB stick. Now we have to type in two commands. The first one is just to find out what our computer is naming the USB stick so we know how to reference it. To do that, just type in disk util, one word, space list. And you'll get a bunch of stuff. Don't worry about all that. You can see here it's listing off the name of each individual drive one by one. What you want to do is find the drive that is your USB stick. The quickest way is to just know your capacity of your USB stick and find it on the right. Right down here we have a 63 gigabyte, which is pretty close to my USB's capacity, so that's probably it. Also, the names of the drives are in the middle column, so if you've named it, just look there. Alright, now that we know that this is my USB drive, I'm going to take note of the name. You could write it down somewhere or just remember that it's disk 4. It will not be disk 4 in your case. Well, it could be, but you don't know that, so you have to find out. Alright, now that we know it's that, we're going to type in an extra command, clear. That was a bonus command for you. It clears our interface. And then this is a second command. We're going to type in sudo space dd space if equals, and here you're going to put the name of your disk. In my case, it was /dev /disk4. It's usually going to be /dev, but that last part could be different for you. Then you're going to type another space, and then type of equals, and here you're going to put the path to your file that you downloaded. Now, we don't have to type it in, we can just drag it into the window, and it will automatically drop the path down for us. By the way, that command I just typed out, it's all in the description, so if you want, you can just copy paste and then enter your own credentials. Alright, once you've typed out the command, you're going to hit enter. If you've done everything right, you shouldn't see any errors. The downside of this command is that there's no actual feedback to how long it's going to take to transfer, so you pretty much just have to wait. You know it finishes because it'll come back with your username of your computer, and you can be able to type out other commands. Alright, now you can just go ahead and remove your USB stick, plug it into your machine, and boot to it. Booting to it is usually pretty simple. On a Mac, shut down the system, put in the USB drive, turn it back on, and hold down the Option key while it turns back on, and you should be able to select a boot drive. If you're on a Windows machine, do the exact same thing, only instead of holding down the Option key, hold down the F12 key. Alright, for this tutorial, I'm going to be actually showing you on a virtual machine on computer what to do with the actual software on your machine. Simply because I have no high quality way to record the screen on the actual machine, but the steps are the exact same. Alright, once you've booted up from your USB stick, you should see a screen like this. Anyway, go ahead and select your language. I'm assuming English. If not, what? Then you're going to go ahead and hit install and boot to server. Then select English again, United States, and right here you're going to hit no. You don't want them to detect your keyboard layer, just choose your own. I'm in English, I have a US keyboard, so I'm going to hit that. By the way, to select these, I'm just hitting enter. I'm using my arrow keys to slide between them. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and choose a host name. I'm going to call it MacBook Server, but you can call it whatever you want. And then we're going to type in the full name for our user. Now, you gotta understand, this will not be the user you log into the actual server with that you use to access files. This is just the user we're going to be using to set it up. So this is the user that if you went to the actual computer itself, you would use to log into and stuff. So for this, I usually use local admin as opposed to network admin. Then hit continue, choose password. And we're going to not encrypt the home directory. By all means, you could if you wanted to, but again, since we're using old hardware, I doubt you're storing government secrets on this. If you are, you might want to consider encryption. I mean,
it's only the fate of the country.
Next, you're going to verify your time zone. And now we're going to select guided use entire disk. I probably should mention this sooner, but if you have anything on the disk you don't want deleted, by all means, shut the computer down and get it off. And actually, before you even start this, make sure that you don't care about it because we're about to wipe it. But I don't, so I'm going to go ahead and select guided use entire disk. Next, you're going to select your disk. In this case, I only have one. This says 10 gigabytes, but in your case, it's going to be like several hundred gigabytes, depending on, the size of your particular thing. On my MacBook, I had about 250 gigabytes of storage. All right, now we're going to confirm the partitions. All right, once it's finished partitioning, we're going to not choose HTTP proxy because we don't need it. It's your choice whether you want to do automatic updates or no automatic updates. I always like to choose no automatic updates just simply because it's not doing random downloads and using up our data when I don't know it. But if you want to have something where you don't ever have to even touch it ever again, doing automatic updates might be something to think about. Anyway, choose your option and then hit continue. Alright, now we're going to be able to select what individual packages to install. We want to keep standard system utilities enabled, but we want to also enable Samba file server. To do that, use arrow keys to scroll down to Samba file server hit space to add an asterisk there, and then tab to go to the continue button. Double check that Samba file server is checked and standard system utilities is checked, and then hit continue. Now it's going to be installing all those packages, so this could take a good bit of time, so go get yourself a cup of coffee. I mean, if you like coffee, I mean, personally not a huge fan, but yeah. Alright, now you're going to hit yes because you definitely want to install the grub bootloader. Alright, installation complete, you are good to go. You go ahead and hit continue and it will boot up in the new system. Once it finishes shutting down and booting back up, as long as you're in the new system, you can go ahead and remove your USB stick and save it for the next project or wipe it and use it for something else. It really doesn't matter. Alright, now it should start up and you should be getting all of this. Alright, now you can go ahead and log in with your credentials you created, in this case local admin and our password. Alright, now comes the setup of the actual server. Before we can configure it, we need to make sure we're getting internet access. So check that, go ahead and type ping space 8.8.8.8, that's just Google's ping server, and hit enter. And if you get bytes send and return, you're good to go. If this will keep going, and if you want to cancel, just hold control and hit C, and you'll get out of that. Now in this case, I'm using Ethernet. If you want to use Wi-Fi, then in the initial install setup, there'll be extra options for you to type in the password for your Wi-Fi network. Alright, now that we're assuming your network is working great, we need to update all the packages on our server. By the way, the clear command also works on Linux. We're going to go ahead and type sudo space apt-get update, and then I'm going to show you how to run two commands at once. Add a space, add two and signs, another space, and then your second command. So in this case, sudo apt-get upgrade. Click enter, it's going to ask for your password. Go ahead and type it in and then hit enter. It's going to scan for everything it needs to download. It's going to ask you if you want to do it. You, of course, are going to hit yes. To say yes, just type the Y key and hit enter, and you should wait for it to finish. Alright, now we need to make sure that your server has a static IP address. Basically, this means that the IP address won't ever change no matter how times you shut it down, restart it up, reset your router, whatever. That way, when we connect to the server, we can always connect to the same address. If you didn't understand that, that's okay, just do what I tell you to do. To do this, we need to edit a document, so go ahead and type sudo space nano space /etc/network/interfaces. Type in your password of the system, and now you're editing the file. Scroll down to the bottom where it shows your interface. First, next to these lines where it says iface and all this, inet.dhcp, we're going to delete DHCP and change that to static. Then hit return and tab. All the lines we write below here need to be tabbed off for it to work. Alright, first you're going to type address, and you're going and then space, and then you're going to type in the address you want it to be, preferably an address not already taken up by another device. Next, you're going to type netmask, and type in the netmask of your router. This will most likely be 255.255.255.0. Again, just Google how to find this out. It's different with every single router, but it's usually pretty easy to find out, or you could just try this and see if it works. Next, you're going to type gateway and type in your router's gateway. This is just the IP address of your router, so most of the time it's going to be 192.168.1.1. It could be .0.1 or .1.1. Just look it up. Next, below that, add a line called DNS-names server, then space, and then type in 8.8.8.8. I could explain why you need to do this, but do you really care? Alright, now to save the file, just hold Control and hit O to write it out, then Enter. Now once it's saved, hold Control X to leave it, type in clear to get that nice clean interface, and we're ready to move on. Alright, now that's done, we get to the fun part, configuring our Samba server. Alright, first off, we're going to have to add all the users we want to be able to access the server. So, for example case, we're going to create an admin account and a user account. So, sudo space add user, one word, space the name that you want it to be. So, in this case, we'll create admin first, and you can't have caps, so keep that in mind. Hit enter, type in the password you would like to use, and this will be the same password that they use to log into the server. And then also repeat that password again. And then go ahead and leave the rest of the options blank because we don't really need them. Type Y, hit enter, and you're good to go. And now we're going to do the exact same thing Also, here's a tip. If you want to repeat the same command that you just typed in, you can use the arrow keys to go through all the commands that you've typed in. So do the most recent one, and then just delete the last part and change it to user or in whatever you want for your case. Also, you don't have to create multiple users at all. You could totally just create one user and have that be all you need. Okay, so now we need to do the exact same thing with our Samba server, meaning create the same user with the same password. It is very important that they have the same password. So to do that, just type in sudo smbpasswd for Samba password, space -a for add, because we're adding a user, space name of the same user you created before, so in this case, admin. Hit enter. It's going to ask for what the new password is going to be. Make sure you type in the same password, make sure it's confirmed, and then go ahead and hit the up arrow to put up that same password and do the exact same thing, only again with user instead of admin. Alright, now we just need to create all the directories that we're going to store our files in. So in this case, we're going to do sudo mkdir for make directory, space / name of the directory. In this case, we're going to do first AdminStuff, and then same thing except for user. You can create as many files as you want, it doesn't really matter. I suggest just doing the base directories in this that we need to assign permissions to, and then later on, if you want to add more folders in those individual folders, you can do that when you access the server remotely. Now we need to assign full permissions to all the files we've created, which is also pretty simple. Just type in sudo space chmod space 777 space name of the file, so AdminStuff, and same thing for UserStuff. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and configure the individual login permissions, who can access what folder, by editing the configuration file for the server. So to do that, type in sudo space nano space /etc /samba samba /smbp.conf conf. Hit enter and it should bring up a big file. If this file is blank, it means you typed it in wrong or something terrible happened in installation, but that's very unlikely. Next, you're going to scroll down to the very bottom of the file. Hit return a couple times just to make sure that this new code we're adding is separate from the rest. Now this is where we set up who can access what folder. So first let's configure the AdminStuff folder. We're going to type in open bracket, name of the folder, so in this case AdminStuff, close bracket, return. And then everything below this bracket has to have a space before we type the command. So we're going to type in space, then path space equals, and then hit another space, and then just send the path. So in this case, our path is /AdminStuff. Next, add another space and type in browsable space equals space yes. Next, on the next line, add another space. Don't forget the space. I cannot stress how much the space is important. Then we're going to type read space only space equals. I'm going to stop saying space because you can see what I'm typing, so we'll go with that. And we're going to set that to no. Then on the line below that, you're going to type valid users equals, and then just type in the user you want to be able to access. In this case, we only want to have admin be able to access it. We do not want user to access it. Alright, that folder is done, so now hit return a couple times and do the next folder. Just like before, open bracket, then name of the folder, in this case UserStuff, end bracket, and then all the lines below this must have a space. And we're going to do the exact same thing, path equals /UserStuff, browsable equals yes, read only equals no, and then here under valid users, we're going to not only type admin, because obviously he should have access to everything, we're also going to add user at the end of that, just separating them by a space. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and save this file by holding Control and hit O to write over the old file, and then hit enter. And now that it's saved, we can go ahead and hold Control and hit X to exit the program. Alright, there you go. You did it. You built a server. Now, let's test it out. But before we can, we do need to restart the actual machine. So to do that, type in sudo space shutdown -R for restart space now. Hit enter. And it's going to go through and do its thing. Once it boots back up, you actually don't need to log back in. You can just leave it in that non-login state, and your server should be running. I'm going to show you how to do it on a Mac, and I'm also going to show you how to do it on a mobile device. But first, let's talk about the Mac. You're going to open up Finder, then you're going to go up and hit Go, and go all the way down to the very bottom option, Connect to Server. You can also use the shortcut, Command K. Once that pops up, you should get this little dialog box. And you're going to type in smb://, then the address of your server. That's the same static IP address that we set up earlier. Once that's done, you're going to click Connect. Then it should ask for your login credentials, enter them just like we did on the Linux server, and then hit Connect, and you should be good to go. On the left down here, you should see under Shared, MacBook Server. Go ahead and click it, and you should see the folders that you created. Then you can upload folders, videos, files, anything you want to and from those documents, and they will be accessible across your network. Now let me go ahead and show you how to access the server from a mobile device. I'm going to show you how to do it on an iPhone, but the process is the exact same on an Android. What you're going to need to do is download an app called File Explorer from the App Store or Google Play. Once it's downloaded, go ahead and open it up, and we're going to have to add the server as an IP address. So what you're going to do is hit the plus on the top right, and then choose NAS for Network Access Storage Server. And then display name is an optional. I'd like to do that just in case I ever have multiple servers running nano, which is which. So I'm going to call it MacBook Server. Hostname IP address, that's going to be the IP address we used earlier. So in my case, 192.168.1.99. You can skip all these options, scroll to the very bottom, and under username, put in your credentials. So I'm going to log in as admin with the admin password, and then go ahead and click Save. Now as you can see, it shows up as MacBook Server, and if you want to access server, just tap on that, wait for it to load, and there are your files. You can go into these files, select a file, and share it, save it, whatever you want, open in. We could open it in photos or cloud sharing or save to our own files. And that's if you want to download a file from the server to your device. If you want to upload a photo from your photo library, just go to Photo Library, select the photo you want to send to the server, and then click Copy To, choose the server, and choose the folder you want to send it to. Hit Save, and it uploads. Thanks so much for watching that tutorial. I hope it helped. Sorry it took a little bit longer to get out this time. It just took a whole lot of more editing with the multicam setup and stuff like that. I do have a lot of new videos coming soon, so stick around for that. I'm Josiah. Thanks for watching.